Greetings, internet drinking buddies. My name is Link, the show's name is Tubbin and Chuggin, and on this episode, I'll be imbibing St. George Absinthe Verte. Welcome back to the tub, everybody. I've got another entry in my overview series here tonight. We're looking at an often misunderstood beverage in absinthe here. So I'll start by giving an overview of absinthe in general. We'll take a closer look at the St. George Verte here, and then we'll get to the chugging. Absinthe is another one of these drinks, these popularized alcoholic drinks that has its origins in a medicinal nature. This one comes from Switzerland, late 18th century, first time we start to see it pop up. It's similar to these other kind of medicinals like Jaeger or, the Ozo that we reviewed on here, and that it has anise as kind of its base, if you will. Well, what gives absinthe its signature and its name, to be honest, is the Artemisia absinthium, or grand wormwood, the flowers and leaves that go into it, which gives it its natural green color. Now, as refrigeration and international railways became more commonplace across the 19th century, the spread of this beverage became associated with bohemian culture, notables such as Vincent van Gogh, Pablo Picasso, Ernest Hemingway, Edgar Allan Poe, etc., etc., etc. They all are famous drinkers of absinthe. Now, perhaps for this reason or for other reasons, absinthe gains this prestigious or perhaps infamous title of being an alcohol that remained banned even after the 21st Amendment was passed. Now, the reason for this, and it actually was banned before the 18th Amendment in the States and throughout most of Europe around the same time, was on the supposed psychoactive effects on the brain, typically attributed to the trace amounts of the chemical thujone, in the drink. Further study has shown that these claims are highly exaggerated. In fact, it doesn't have any excess psychoactive effects other than the alcohol itself. And alcohol there is in absinthe, typically exceeding the standard 40% ABV by far, although it's fairly commonplace to dilute that before consumption. So, with our new understanding of absinthe in general, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the St. George Verte here. St. George Absinthe Verte was introduced as soon as absinthe production was legal again here in the States in 2007. In fact, they claim to be the first legal American absinthe available after that law was passed. It comes in at 60% alcohol by volume and in two rather interesting sizes, the 200 milliliter, which I have here, and then the standard fifth. Those will run you $22 and $60 respectively, with the $1 drink reduction in cost for buying it in bulk, although, buying it in a fifth isn't what I would typically think of as bulk. I'll put the full list of ingredients they use up here on the screen if you're curious what little specialties they add in, but for the most part it's the standard wormwood, fennel, anise, is the absinthe. As far as my personal history with this beverage, I'm sure I've tried it at some point or another. I do recall there being a little extra buzz, if you will, in college for this being like it's a drink that gets you high, bro, or, whatever the case may be. But I've never gone out of my way to purchase it, so thanks again to Tubbin and Chuggin for getting me to try out these new and interesting alcohols. Now, as I mentioned, absinthe is often drank distilled down a little bit below, maybe with water, part of a tea or something, but I'll just be sipping it here, straight out of my neat little Swiss shot glass, which feels apropos given its origin. Ooh, it's gonna take a hot sec. We got it. Okay, technical difficulties aside, getting the bottle open, getting it into the tiny little cup, we do need a toast. I can only think of one particularly appropriate one for this, and that is to the abolition of prohibition. Cubs at ya, baby. Not holding a damn thing back, my goodness. Woo! In a word, strong, okay? I mean, 60% to be expected, but still. It's interesting though in that it's not, okay, it's definitely, it's alcoholic, it's strong for sure, but it's not what you would expect. If you've had like a, you know, a 151 or something like that, or even an Everclear, right? You're drinking rubbing alcohol. You're trying to get drunk as quickly as you can. We have the Stro on this one, on this channel here, where, you know, it's 80%, and it's a rum, and you know, you're trying to get drunk on it. It tastes like a rum technically, but it's not much else. This has a flavor profile to it. I'm not gonna lie. It's not, I don't know, it's not easy to sort of identify it, as it is hitting you very, very quickly with alcohol, but it's there, and I'll try to describe it. So take like, it's actually, that's very, very good. So take like a, I guess a Jaeger is a strong point of comparison, right? If you have a Jaeger, it's a little bit lighter than, oddly enough, lighter in the sense of like almost like a minty kind of refreshment to it that comes in on that sort of Jaeger profile you're used to, and then just dial up the alcohol intensity on that. So take Jaeger, make it less like kind of, I guess, less brute force on the taste, but then more brute force on the alcohol. Man, it's just, it almost feels like you're like sucking on a leaf to a degree. Like you're just trying to get anything off of that, and then the alcohol comes in. It's very leafy, flowery, you know, kind of like foresty, like kind of like druid type drink. It is honestly where I come at it from this, even though it doesn't appear to be druid in origin at all. But that kind of idea of just getting drunk off of like the flowers, getting high off of the flowers, I can see where this connection of it being like a, whoa man, hallucinogenic kind of thing came from. But obviously we disproved that, but I can understand where it comes from when you drink it. Kind of like a witch's brew, almost like just a concoction that you put out, and it lures you in with this like, oh bro, it's the forest, bro, it tastes good. And then no, you're getting drunk. You're absolutely getting plastered on this. This is difficult to recommend, not because I don't like it, because I don't think many people would, to be honest. You have to be in kind of a mindset for this. And if you've watched this video and you're like, you're already disavowed of these like, oh, this absinthe thing is gonna get you high. Like you just go into it with the knowledge of like, it's just like a non-diluted, like high percentage drink. I don't know how good a time you're gonna have with it. On the other hand, if you're interested in kind of that foresty floral vibe to an alcohol that really cranks it up, you know, you're tired of these like 5%, you know, seltzers that are just like, oh, whatever, it's, you know, it's a drink, you know, it's gonna take me 12 ounces to get there. Like this right here is already what, 2 of those bad boys? Like we're getting crazy pretty fast. But I wouldn't recommend doing this as a shot. You might actually burn your throat off. Plus, I do think the more you sip it, the more of the flavor profile you can get. You can go on that ride, that experience with it. Yeah, not as good as a shot, for sure. That was to be expected. But, yeah, oh boy, yeah, don't do it as a shot. Definitely sip on it. 100% sip on it. But, again, I think if you sip on it, you'll find there's something there. You might even grow kind of an appreciation for the taste of it. A bit expensive, even with the, you know, sort of the increase in APV over your typical thing. We're looking at wine pricing here for something that very clearly isn't wine like sipping quality. But there is a sipping quality to it regardless. It's a difficult one overall. It doesn't get a recommendation from me because I think this is a specialized product. I'm even not sure I would spend the extra money to go for it, but I think it's fun. I think it's something in the 200 milliliter you can try. There's enough there. You can each have like maybe an eighth of a shot. So there's four typical shots worth in one of these. If you have 8 people, they're each doing a half a shot. They're still getting basically a drink's worth, and it's an interesting kind of drink to talk about. But that's about as far as I would go with a recommendation. You really have to kind of get into the absinthe mindset to really either appreciate this or get your money's worth, is where it would come down for me. That's gonna do it for this one. As always, let me know if there are other drinks you want me to review, and please